Why do 90% of the people put off work that they're supposed to do and procrastinate when it's time to do them? In this video, I'm going to go over the reason behind procrastination and the most effective solution that I came up with after years of procrastinating in college. I think the biggest mistake that most of us make when it comes to procrastination is thinking that we have time. You don't. You don't really have time. If you were given a task and you were given 7 days to complete them, it's gonna take you 7 days. Or you might just procrastinate for 6 days and cram all that work into the last moment because you think you have time. You might think to yourself, maybe I'll just start tomorrow. Maybe I'll start when the weather is a little bit better. Maybe I'll start after I hang out with my friends or go to that vacation or go to that break. But what you don't understand is that if you procrastinate and you go do something else, that work will be like a sting inside of you that will always remind you that you can't have fun. You can't really fully enjoy yourself, immerse yourself in whatever it is that you're going to do because you have unfinished tasks. The longer you procrastinate, the harder you're making the task appears to be. Because in reality, the task might just takes an hour or half an hour of focus, but the fact that you keep pushing it off to the side, you think that it will cause you great discomfort when you start, and you are making it harder by pushing it back, by procrastinating. You're avoiding doing what you're supposed to do because it's painful. You wanted to delay that pain or suppress it because it distracts you from the moment. Because if you procrastinate and go and scroll on TikTok or scroll on YouTube or go do something else that isn't what you're supposed to be doing, then you distract yourself from the pain. It feels comfortable for the moment, but eventually you're gonna have to face it. You came across many motivational videos because you were scrolling, and each one inspires you for a change. After listening to them, you get a sense of adrenaline that incites action. But that action leads to nothing because you're still procrastinating. And after you finally work up the courage to do your task, you encounter a problem that you can't solve, whether that'll be a question that you don't understand or a problem that is too hard. Instead of researching on how to solve it, you scroll because you'll know you'll get distracted when researching. Let's say you're working on a presentation, and after the intro slide, you think that you've done enough, that you deserve a break, so you step off. You started to scroll on your phone again. You started to do something else, thinking that you've done the most optimal for the day, that you deserve a break. This is that false sense of accomplishment that you tell yourself after you've done a bare minimum amount of work. That is just your procrastination in disguise because you will feel really bad if you don't do anything, yet you're just doing the bare minimum amount or just writing your name on that piece of paper or on that presentation that you feel like you've done something for the day, that you've done enough so you can push everything back to tomorrow or the next day or the day after, just so that you can enjoy yourself at the moment because you done some work for the day. I mean, I used to do this all the time. I would open up a project. Let's say I have 3 assignments that I need to do for 3 different classes, right? And I will pick and choose whichever one is the easiest for me to do. And I will do that and I will finish within like 10, 20 minutes. And I will convince myself that, oh, I've done enough for the day. I get to have fun. I get to go somewhere else. I get to do something else. And there has been many times where I underestimated how long an assignment actually takes for me to do because I didn't really done any research about the assignment. I would just take it as it is. I thought it might just take me a quick hour or half an hour to complete. So that's why I just push it back and not think about it. And after I suffer some drawbacks from procrastination, for example, missing assignments or not do them perfectly, or getting a lower score because I was rushing through the assignments. The most effective solution to this problem is not creating a to-do list or watch motivational videos, is create a sense of urgency or creating urgency. Now, what does that mean? There's a quote by Dwight D. Eisenhower. Important things are rarely urgent, and urgent things are rarely important. So, in order to not procrastinate, do your tasks the moment they are given, you have to create a sense of urgency. So, what I've done was I fill up my time with things that are completely mandatory. I was working 40 hours a week while going to classes full time, and I was going to the gym for 2.5 to 3 hours, 4 days a week. I fill up my schedule with action. And by doing that, it introduces pressure. and it fills up all your time. So you don't have time to procrastinate. Now, if I do procrastinate, then I will suffer the consequences, whether that means I will get a bad score on an assignment, or I'll be late for work, and I'll leave a bad reputation for myself. So, what I want you to do is to fill up all your schedule, fill up your time with important things that you are going to commit and make that mandatory. That's creating urgency because when it's time to do them, you can't procrastinate because you don't have time to procrastinate. Urgency and pressure is the cure, is the all time cure, the ultimate cure to procrastination. Because think about it, if you lit a fire underneath your ass, are you just gonna sit there or just gonna get up and walk? When you're chased by a hungry lion out in the wild, do you stop and scroll your phone to watch TikTok and expect the lion to stop and wait for you to finish? No, because your life is on the line and you don't have time to procrastinate or do anything else. You need to be so dedicated to the point where when somebody asks you what you do for fun, you reply with, I don't know, work, I guess, because you haven't been exposed to what is fun for such a long time because you were so focused. Anything that trails you off from your line of focus, you don't think about them and you don't do them, and you keep this cycling of thought, this upward spiral of thought. Anything that's not work related, you reject it. So when you encounter a problem that you can't solve, instead of scrolling, you think creative. Anything that you do isn't work related will trail you off of your path, and it introduces procrastination because you're doing something else instead of working. And if most of the time you don't feel like doing what you're supposed to do, or if you don't feel like working, then go for a drive to clear your mind. Because when you're on your way to do something, you will feel like doing it even though you haven't done it. Does that make any sense? Distraction really is what produces procrastination. If I say the word sandwich, you will immediately think of bread, turkey, turkey slices, cheese. What is your favorite sandwich? You start to think of things that are related to sandwich. This is called mental association. These are the thoughts that your mind seeks when you introduce this distraction. So if you do come across a problem, it's better to suffer in the moment and brainstorming on ways to solve that problem than it is to inputting new information in your head that's going to introduce this distraction. I myself, I've done this multiple times, right? When I'm working on an assignment and I came across a problem where I have to research something and I get distracted because I have all these other tabs open or I have my phone next to me and somebody sent me a text and I go review that text and I ended up scrolling and I came across the picture of a sandwich and I start to think, oh, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? What nearby restaurant has the best sandwich? And I start to get distracted. And the assignment that I'm working on ends up taking longer than usual because I'm not focused. So if you're suffering from procrastination, then creating urgency and fill up your schedule with things that are mandatory for you to do is your last resort. If you like this video and want to learn how to build and maintain discipline, click here.